Hey everybody, we are on a chapter of Sideways Stories called Sharie, and here's a picture of her. You see the little Z's coming off the top, which is like that sleepy sign. So let's get started. This one's called Sharie. Sharie had long eyelashes. She weighed only 49 pounds. She always wore a big red and blue overcoat with a hood. The overcoat weighed 35 pounds. The red part weighed 15 pounds, the blue part weighed 15 pounds, and the hood weighed 5 pounds. 15, 15, and 5. Yeah, that makes 35. Her eyelashes weighed a pound and a half. She sat next to the window in Mrs. Jewls' class. She spent a lot of time just staring out the window. Mrs. Jewls didn't mind. Mrs. Jewls said that a lot of people learn best when they stare out a window. Sharie often fell asleep in class. Mrs. Jewls didn't mind that either. She said that a lot of people do their best learning when they're asleep. Sharie spent all of her time either looking out the window or sleeping. Mrs. Jewls thought she was the best student in class. One afternoon, it was very hot. All of the windows were open, yet Sharie still wore her red and blue overcoat. The heat made her very tired. Mrs. Jewls was teaching arithmetic. Sharie pulled the hood up over her face, buried herself inside the coat, and went to sleep. "Mrs. Jewls," said Kathy, "Sharie is asleep." "That's good," said Mrs. Jewls. "She must be learning something." Mrs. Jewls continued with the lesson. Sharie began to snore. "Miss Jewls, Sharie is snoring," said Kathy. "Yes, I can hear her," said Mrs. Jewls. "She must be learning an awful lot today. I wish the rest of you could be like her." Sharie began to toss and turn. She flopped over on top of her desk, and then rolled over on top of Kathy's desk. Then she rolled back the other way. Kathy screamed. Sharie rolled out the window. She was still sound asleep. As you know, Mrs. Jewls' class was on the 30th story of Wayside School, so Sharie had a long way to go. After she had fallen 10 stories, Sharie woke up. She looked around. She was confused. She wasn't in Mrs. Jewls' class, and she wasn't at home in bed. She couldn't figure out where she was. "Oh," she yawned, pulled the hood back over her eyes, and went back to sleep. By that time, she had fallen another 10 stories. Wayside School had an exceptionally large playground. Lewis, the art teacher, was way over on the other side of it when he happened to see Sharie fall out the window. He ducked under the volleyball net, hurtled past the kickball field, hopped over the hopscotch court, climbed through the monkey bars, sped across the grass, and caught Sharie just before she hit the ground. The people in Mrs. Jewls' class cheered. Sharie woke up in Lewis's arms. "Darn it, Lewis," she said. "What did you go and wake me up for?" "I'm sorry, Sharie," said Lewis. I'm sorry, Sharie repeated. "Is that all you can say? I was having a wonderful dream until you woke me up. You're always bothering me, Lewis. I can't stand it." She laughed and then hugged him around the neck. Lewis carried her back up 30 flights of stairs to Mrs. Jewls' room. That evening, when Sharie went to bed, she was unable to fall asleep. She just wasn't tired. Seems like that fall kind of knocked something out of her, huh? I have never read another book like Wayside Stories. So if you know of something or if this reminds you of another story or book you've read, please share with me because I think the way that Louis Satcher, the author, writes these is pretty funny how they're all just kind of individual little snippets, but they all go together. So pretty cool. See you next time. Bye.